Russian tank convoy exploded after passing mines and Ukrainian artillery fire around Vuhledar. Footage from a fierce ongoing battle around Vuhledar, southwest of Donetsk, shows Russian soldiers retreating after their 5 vehicles were hit by Ukrainian artillery. The Russian troops were forced to run away and leave their wounded crawling behind them after being struck by airburst ammunition. President Volodymyr Zelensky has called the situation on the frontline acute, with heavy fighting in the Donetsk region. Moscow's appointed leader of the Donetsk region, Denis Pushilin, said, "The encirclement and subsequent liberation of this city, Vuhledar, solves many problems." But Kiev said the town remained contested. Ukrainian military spokesman Sergei Cherevity insisted there is fierce combat there. The Ministry of Defense said on Friday that Russian forces had probably conducted probing attacks near Orakhiv and in Vuhledar, but were unlikely to have achieved substantive advances. Russia is said to be planning a new preemptive strike in Ukraine, according to satellite photos which show Putin's forces building up fortifications. The new offensive will reportedly take place ahead of the first anniversary of their invasion on February 24th. Oleksiy Danilov, Secretary of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, said, "Now they are preparing for maximum activation, and they believe that by the anniversary they should have some achievements. There is no secret that they are preparing for a new wave by February 24th, as they themselves say," he told Radio Svoboda. He also said that the Russian military has been scouting the defense capabilities of Ukrainian troops in the Zaporizhia region for a week. While analysis from Bradia Frick, an open-source intelligence analyst, shows Russian new fortifications all along the front in Luhansk, from the Russian border down to Donetsk, and throughout Zaporizhia and Kherson. It comes as a video captured a single Russian tank being destroyed by a mine near Donetsk, in what may have been part of a spoiling attack tactic to disperse and distract Ukrainian forces ahead of their counteroffensive. The satellite imagery of Moscow's new fortifications may also show that Putin is concerned about a new Ukrainian counteroffensive following the news of modern tanks being sent from the West. They're trying to basically consolidate their gains and keep the parts that they've held onto thus far, a Frick said. "I think it's definitely both a message to soldiers in Ukraine and to everyone who might be watching that they're going to at least try and stay." The news follows a video capturing the moment a Russian tank drives straight into a minefield while taking artillery fire in Ukraine. The vehicle is seen driving down an empty road, thought to be outside Donetsk, that is surrounded by hundreds of craters from shelling. The footage shows an artillery shell exploding about 20 m ahead of the tank as it continues forward. The tank disappears behind the cloud of smoke before it drives over a mine and sets off another explosion. Just a second later, another explosion takes place and a fireball erupts from the tank, forcing the soldiers inside to flee. The drone footage ends by showing 4 soldiers running away from the wreckage off into the cratered fields to the side. The video comes as Ukrainian troops were locked in a fierce confrontation with Russian fighters on Friday for control of the town of Vuhledar southwest of Donetsk as the two sides battle along the southern front. Both sides claimed success in the small administrative center of apartment blocks surrounded by flat fields, a short distance from the strategic prize of the village of Pavlivka. The encirclement and subsequent liberation of this city solves many problems, said Denis Pushilin, the Moscow-appointed leader of the Donetsk region. Soon, Vuhledar may become a new, very important success for us, he was quoted as saying by Russian news agencies. But Kiev said the town, which had a pre-invasion population of around 15,000 people, remained contested. There is fierce combat there, Ukrainian military spokesman Sergei Cherevity told local media. For many months, the military of the Russian Federation has been trying to achieve significant success there, he said. Moscow's push for Vuhledar is part of its effort to seize control of the entire Donetsk region, which it has already declared a part of Russia. Ukraine said this week that Russian troops had stepped up their attacks in the east, particularly on Vuhledar and Bakhmut. While the Ministry of Defense said that Russia is highly likely to have suffered more than 300 casualties in a strike on troop accommodation at Makiivka near Donetsk city on January 1st. In a rare admission, Russia's defense ministry said 89 soldiers had died in the fiery blast, which destroyed the temporary barracks in a former vocational college. The MOD assessed that the majority of troops were likely killed or missing, rather than wounded. The MOD tweeted, Russian officials likely assessed that it was not viable to avoid comment in the face of widespread criticism of Russian commanders over the incident. The difference between the number of casualties Russia acknowledged and the likely true toll highlights the pervasive presence of disinformation in Russian public announcements. This typically comes about through a combination of deliberate lying authorized by senior leaders and the communication of inaccurate reports by more junior officials keen to downplay their failings in Russia's blame and sack culture. According to a White House National Security Council assessment, Russia is currently using the cold winter months to regroup, retrain, re-equip, and prepare for next steps in the war. The United States is helping Ukraine prepare to go on the counteroffensive against Russia, according to White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby.